Hi, I'm Perry Greenwood. I'm a senior product manager here at BackBox.
And I'm Josh Stevens, CTO here at BackBox.
So we talked about IntelliChecks a little bit in the last section. We're going to go into why these matter, and compliance workflows are the big thing that we like to talk about here, right? So a lot of our customers, they're dealing with PCI, HIPAA, STIG, you name the compliance standard, right? And they're trying to figure out, of the things that I can automate, how do I do that in a way that doesn't cost me a whole lot of time and resources in order to do it? The number one tool today is an Excel sheet that we hear about, which we definitely don't love that methodology. And so we've taken some time and invested in CIS compliance for FortiGate, Checkpoint, Cisco's coming up. We have F5 and Juniper that we're looking at as well. So we're trying to offer CIS compliance of everything that can be automated in those CIS compliance levels within BackBox. And so let me show you kind of what this looks like. So if you go to our IntelliChecks functionality, and let's search for Checkpoint. So for Checkpoint, we have 90+ % coverage for CIS level 1. CIS level 2 tends to be more of the manual process-driven pieces. So those aren't as automatable. For FortiGates, we're able to get to 100% of CIS level 1 and 60% of CIS level 2. They have a really great CLI set of functionality there that allowed us to get that far. So, but basically this is just a set of checks that are industry standard. CIS benchmarks tend to be industry standard. They tend to be reused in things like PCI or HIPAA or STIG, right? Where people need to know, hey, is my firewall, is my router meeting a baseline standard of config good best practices? And so with that, we put that into BackBox. So to give you an idea of what this looks like, this is a table of contents for the FortiGate CIS checks. You can see, you have 100 pages plus of documentation that you have to go through. Luckily, at the end, they do have a checklist for you to go through that 100 pages, but that's on every device. So where we went with this is we built these IntelliChecks. We put them into a job that's going to go, and you can run this as often as you want, as little as you want, but something like this with the Checkpoint, the CIS level 1, you can see we have the same set of notifications and scheduling here. What's really different about IntelliChecks is, remember I talked about in the programmability section, you're going to be able to define variables that you are going to put in values for later. And this is where these really come into plays in the IntelliChecks, in the CIS checks type of functionality. Every one of these is going to have a different value, a custom value that's going to be relative to that network. If you're an MSP, perhaps one customer says, my radius timeout needs to be 67.3 seconds, right? Where another one says, no, it needs to be 66.7 seconds, right? Take your pick. There's different requirements per network that you're going to have, and you want to be able to define those yourself. So all of that is built in. We have some recommended or best practice numbers in there where it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for us to put in something like a DNS server, right? It doesn't make sense for us to autofill 1.1.1.1 or 8.8.8.8 or whatever the IPv6 numbers are. I'm sure Kevin could tell us.
Yeah, which ones do you want me to rattle?
Yeah, right. But it doesn't make sense for us to pre-fill those because yours are going to be different. So with that said, what it produces is more or less a report. So let's close out of this. And you can get this across all your devices where line by line it goes through and it says, hey, for CIS 2.18, right? The host name is set. Great. But then we go down to the next one and we say, okay, on this checkpoint gateway, CLI session, what is that? CLI session timeout is not set to greater than 10 minutes, right? Or sorry, less than 10 minutes. In that case, you say, oh, well, hey, now I have all this reporting. I can show this as an MSP, I can show this to my customers and say, hey, I need to make some changes on your network to bring you into compliance with best practices. Or as an enterprise customer, you can show that to your management and start saying, hey, we have these things that we're out of compliance with. We would really like to start making some changes to bring ourselves a little bit tighter into this benchmark. It's easier to communicate when you have a report in hand that can show exactly line by line what's going on. And the other thing is this checks all those boxes for that CIS compliance checklist for you. You can export it into an Excel. You can export this report into HTML, as you see here.
We found that. Go ahead.
Etienne here, I've got a question. Is it possible to generate a report with only the exceptions?
Yeah.
Because information overload is usually in these kind of things killing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great question, Peter.
So let's go to checkpoint CIS compliance. All right, so.
See, but if you get the full report, you get to bury the red and all the green.
See, I see what you did there. And so we would go and IntelliChecks by signature. I would have to look this up, but yes, we are able to. It's based on how we do the reporting in the job. So if you only have failure,
format it that way.
Yeah. So, but yes, we're able to just report failures. We're able to just look at successes.
I assume you can schedule those reports and then push out, a syslog or other alert to the system that says, hey, something's changed here.
Notifications, scheduling are all built into the reporting as well.
Yeah. We found CIS compliance is something that oftentimes lets the ops team pull money from the security budget. So this is oftentimes one of the ways they're able to fund this time investment. And then nowadays with CVEs, you're often able to pay for the upgrades as well out of the security budget.
One thing that was commented on in our chat was that there's the import of devices seemed a little wonky. Is there a way to integrate with a single source of truth or like NetBox or any type of like InfoBlocks or BlueCat or other types of sources of truth?
That would definitely be the API methodology. Yeah, we can do that. We can also do things like if they have an IP address per device, we can do the discovery job via that. But I see what you're saying where you might want entirely the devices to be controlled by that third party single source of truth. And yeah, we can work through the API on that. So
it has to be built out. There's nothing native.
No, there's nothing native for that.
Thank you.
Okay. With that said, did we want to jump into access real quick? Anyone?
Yeah, we can show that for a minute.
Okay. All right. So I imagine all of you have a perfectly trained, very senior IT team at your disposal that never makes mistakes. I know it's true.
You bet.
Right.
He's me.
However, some IT teams out there, we've heard, do have junior personnel. And this is not the only use case, but this is the use case we're going to talk about for just this moment, who maybe when you connect to a device, you really want to be able to record what was done. You want to be able to coach them in that moment after you've brought the network back up because it was taken down by a set of commands. So this access product or functionality within the product, what it's doing is going and allowing you to make the changes in a recorded, clearly understandable fashion so that when you're looking at it later, right, you have auditability on exactly what was done and where. You can help, coach through, and sometimes video is just a better tool, but we also have the log of all the device or all the commands issued to that device. We can do CLI, we can do web sessions, and when you're talking about a web session, it's really nice to have that video because sometimes things are just missed in that text log.
Yeah. This part of the product allows it to be used as a jump box so that all of your changes, even the ones that aren't automated, get made from the BackBox solution, and they're all logged into an immutable log, optionally recorded as well.
Yeah.
Now that gives you both peace of mind from a security standpoint and gives you a really good list of the things that are being done by hand still, so that you know what to automate next when you're looking back through those logs.
Exactly. And you get this in your device history as well. So you can see, you can look at, what the log was, you can watch the video back. It's all right there. So,
And it'll save that as a text file too, so I don't have to watch a video.
yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Because I'm not. Oh,
Yeah, it depends.
You probably search the text file, and then when you find something interesting, you might bring up the video and coach based upon that. But certainly you wouldn't,
Yeah.
watch hundreds of hours of videos just to find it.
But yeah, I think the other thing is, like Josh is saying, it provides the ability to have a little bit of control over where you're making changes from, act as that jump box for your devices.
And your backup thing does show if there's diffs between backups. So if I'm looking for something on a particular device, I can jump into the backups. I can see, oh, here's the two session backups where the diff occurred, and then I can come over here and look for the terminal.
You should have it. That's right.
See what happened during that change session.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we see this used a lot in large network operations teams, in MSPs especially, but in enterprises as well. It's a pretty cool feature.